So Ruth, you mentioned there was two nuggets. So what was the second nugget you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so this coach spoke right to the heart of the perfectionist in me. And she said, Ruth, you're like the super league, right? You're wearing a cape, you go out there and you're saving the world, and then like you're holding it together and you're doing a million things at like a top level. She goes, remember, your C is somebody else's A. And that stuck so much. I actually say that to all of my clients. Your C is somebody else's A. And not saying that you are better than somebody if you struggle with this or anyone. It's more so to give yourself the opportunity to take a break. To that sometimes it's okay to do the 70 instead of the 100 because you can't always do the 100%. And so it has allowed me to, okay, this draft is okay, let's go. If not, I get stuck in the imposter syndrome. That's really the engine of all of the holdup and the bottleneck and the lack of, and
I
the
definitely understand what you're
nonprofits
saying
have.
because if I don't, I'm like that too. If it's not perfect, then I'm upset with myself. Or if I don't feel that it's perfect, I'm upset with myself.
Yeah.
Even to the, I was thinking about that the other day. I sent an email and I left out a word because I didn't do what I usually do, which is I always pre-read my emails before I send them out.
Yep.
And I left out a word, and I was angry with myself because I left out a word. I'm like, what are people thinking of me? And this goes back to the giving
But that's human.
approaching folks for giving.
Yep.
I was thinking that, okay, you stuttered a little bit, or you said, just like I told you at the beginning of this podcast, it doesn't matter if you it doesn't matter if you stutter, it doesn't matter. We just keep rolling because that's how we continue to move.
Yeah.
But I think when organizations and I always got to talk from my point of view, but when organizations get out there and they try to talk to raise funding like that through giving, they're always afraid they're going to say it wrong. They're going to do it wrong. And
Right.
like you said, they're not you're trying to change yourself. And I think real people can see when you're not being authentic, as you put it, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I think, I had the pleasure of, sometimes I pick up one or two pro bono clients. And again, I got into this business because I love nonprofits. I just, I moved across the state and I wanted to keep my hands and heart attached to Miami. It's my home. And, but I had the pleasure of working with this amazing founder who the organization's Angels on Deck. They're a small volunteer run nonprofit by two women. And their community, and the founder's son had passed away due to gun violence. And from that pain was birthed this organization that now provides programming for hundreds of kids in her community to keep them off from areas that are going to be dangerous to them. And I think about it, both of them are the most authentic people I have ever met. They're not your corporate fundraiser, and they do so much impact. They show up with heart and mission, and there isn't one time that we don't pray on the call. It really is like an opportunity, I think, as an example for others to see I show up authentically and people connect with me authentically. And that's where the authenticity breeds that generosity piece that I think nonprofits are missing. They get really stuck on that perfectionism and trying to make it look a certain way.
One of the things you talked about earlier was that you mentioned that I wanted to go back to was the stories.
Mm-hmm.
We love to do the numbers. The numbers are relatively easy to produce. I shouldn't say produce. The numbers are kind of given to us by how we're serving and who we're serving, where we're serving them.
Right.
Those things, putting those things out is the easy part. But talking about it from the heart, I think, like you keep saying, talking about it from the heart is probably one of the most difficult because we actually assume, and we know what happens when we assume. We assume that the person who we're asking for the capital only wants to hear a straightforward, everybody's standing like this, everybody's at attention.
Yeah.
We assume that. Why? How do we get out of that mode of assuming that they're not people too? Because it just came to me. We're assuming they're not people too.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, if you think about private funders and private foundations, they're in this the same way. Maybe their significant other had cancer or their child was born with cerebral palsy and now they have a foundation. Just because they have the means doesn't mean that they're not human. And so it's connecting with the individual again, helping them express their values through generosity. And I think that if nonprofit leaders can keep that at the heart, then they can show up more authentically. Now, I am a data girl. I do believe, if you have a CRM, that's your, customer relationship manager, client relationship manager system, like Bloomerang or Network for Good, or Razor's Edge, those are going to be garbage in, garbage out. So I do believe you need to be clear with your data. And yes, actually, nonprofits that are really small struggle with proper data accounting to show that impact, but you still need to put a name to the numbers and a story to the numbers in a way that dignifies the person who's receiving the support services, or show impact of, like, we helped 50 kids and now they're going to this summer camp, and then talk about the summer camp. Maybe and I understand there's some privacy issues and things like that we need to consider, but the story is what matters.
So not only being our authentic self when we're presenting, but also presenting those authentic stories about what the services that our particular organization is providing.
Yes.
Right. So we are in an incredible time. Funding is drying up. I have organizations that are absolutely petrified about what's going to happen over the next 3 to 4 years, or even this year.
Right.
We know, but here in Miami-Dade County, the mayor's trying to cover a $400 million shortfall. I'm sure that's happening in all over the state, with the state funding being cut and national funding, especially if you're federally funded, being cut. And so philanthropy and us seeking out those folks who really want to help but have no idea, because I think that's what the problem is, in particular in South Florida. We have multimillionaires and billionaires moving to South Florida. I mean, the mansions are going on sale and selling like hotcakes, right? So they're moving here. But how do we get in front of those to help those folks contribute? Now, they contribute where they used to live, because and it's not their fault. This is where they used to live. I know that area from that city, lived there 40, 50 years, whatever the case may be, grew up there, so I know the organization's there. How do we help get the organizations who are here, now that those folks are living here, in front of those folks, or at least connect with those folks? Because like you said, it could be that the person had cancer. It could be the person loves animals and loves dogs and wants to connect with an organization that provides some type of services as far as dogs are concerned, right?
Yeah.
So how do we connect with those? How can, especially the smaller nonprofits, how do they can do that?
So I have one shameless plug, but before I do that one, so I think there's genuine resources within our community to be able to do that, right? So the Miami Foundation, comes up number one as a potential partner or an organization that can highlight nonprofits that are serving the community, or sectors of it that then can guide donors to that. Participating in anything that TMF does is a great idea. Philanthropy Miami is another great organization to connect with. Any of the chapters, AFP, being part of GuideStar and having your profile on Candid, updated, transparent, with budgets and financials, that's where the numbers and data come in, also helps, because a donor that is going to have the means to make transformational gifts to your organization is an informed donor. Long gone are the days of people who just write a blind $25,000 check. The donors now want to be involved, spend time, serve, and give, which is huge. That's actually the best type of donor any nonprofit can have. We call those champions, right? They give you their time, talent, and treasure. And so to get their attention, you do need to have certain things buttoned up, because if not, would you as a business partner invest in an organization that maybe doesn't have their pro forma?
No way.
Doesn't have any kind of investments coming up? No. And so I want the nonprofits to realize you're still a business. Only because you're tax exempt or maybe not drawing a salary, you're still a business impacting a community. So let's act like one and get the support. And if you applied for the grant cycle that Cornell just closed, congratulations, because you were one step ahead of the ones who didn't, seeking out unrestricted capacity building funding, which is huge and unheard of. So thank you so much for doing that for them. 101 nonprofits, you said.
Yeah, 101 applications we got.
Yeah, I'll say that. And then I understand not every nonprofit, many nonprofits, mostly the small ones, have the capacity to do events or fundraisers, and those still require a large audience or a budget to put those up. Some galas can cost $250,000
easily,
right? And so that sounds impossible for most nonprofits. And so I always say, give Miami-Dade. And Give Miami-Dade, again, it's, 50% of the nonprofits that participate are teeny tiny, and those tend to be their number one fundraising day, right? And so what happens when you register for Give Miami-Dade? Not only are you participating in the city's largest, in the community's largest giving day of generosity, but now your profile is up for 365 days on this website that donors are being trained to look at as their Rolodex for nonprofits. There are over 10,000 nonprofits in Miami-Dade County. Only 1,200 participate in Give Miami-Dade. Why?
That's a really great question. Really great question. Why? Are they feeling that their nonprofit is so small or so, and I hate to use this word, but I have to, insignificant, that it doesn't deserve volunteerism and funding? Is that what it is? Or are they just the anxiety of actually putting their organization out there? Or maybe both?
Both. I've actually heard of both. So I know that some nonprofits are like, well, we just don't have capacity, right? So I've done some market research. I ran Give Miami-Dade for the Miami Foundation. It was so fun to do that. And we raised that year $34 million.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was huge. I love when the city turns purple. It's my favorite holiday. And I learned from doing all of the office hours with nonprofits that really it was just like, we just don't have the manpower or the time or the know-how to put it together. And that's where Generosity Strategies launched, was actually supporting nonprofits Give Miami-Dade campaigns. I ran the thing, so now I can help them do the thing. And I'll take on some pro bono clients. And I did that a couple years. And this year I launched the Generosity Lab, a free community for any nonprofit, no matter how small or big, to join and be part of a Slack community chat, directly access to me, and monthly check-ins so that we can learn and grow and build better campaigns.
And those and Miami-Dade, I'm with you. Miami-Dade is a great thing. I was definitely involved with it in the beginning, with the other organization I worked for. So, are these campaigns just strictly for Miami-Dade that you help these organizations build, or are these campaigns that they can use year round?
Yeah. So Give Miami-Dade is actually open registration for any nonprofit that serves the greater Miami community. So you don't have to be headquartered here, but as long as you can show that your nonprofit mission supports individuals in the greater Miami community, you're allowed to apply and participate. Well, there's no application to register. And registration opened up on August 1st. It closes October 17th.
Opened early this year.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So when I joined, I actually moved the date so that we can get it more time for nonprofits, because we saw nonprofits waiting till the last minute. So you talked about two things. You said, is it they don't know how to, or is because they get, caught up and, with stuff, and it's both. And I said, so we let a lot of the fires in the mission take up time, but at the end of the day, you should be focusing on income producing activities. And if Give Miami-Dade can be your biggest opportunity to raise dollars with a percentage match and potential prizes and techniques like matching gifts that move donors to give 84% more, then why not participate? Why not learn how to do it better?
Yeah, I like that number, 84% more. Love that number. I think it is important for the organizations to understand that you have to invest time in this. This is not something... we all wish that we could just provide the services and just go along and checks would just flow in, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way for large organizations. It doesn't work that way for small organizations. It just does not work that way. You must get involved. If you have not Give Miami-Dade a try, if you've not tried Give Miami-Dade, you definitely need to do so. It is an experience that will help you learn, and I have Ruth here who's willing to coach you and help you get through those paces. It's not something that we can back down from. Fundraising is crucial right now.
Tremendously.
With funding going away, like I said earlier, I've been in too many meetings since January with organizations talking about, well, we don't know if we're going to be open next year. We don't know if we're going to be open at the end of the next quarter. Building these and taking that stress off of organizations like mine and off of people like me, to be able to get that, to be able to become actual fundraisers outside of grants, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about fundraising from the community,
individual,
right? Individual donations from people who have a heart for what we do.
Private dollars.
As you see us struggling with this, um, if you had one message in order to tell these organizations, what would it be?
I think that there are resources in our community that are highly available. Radical Partners, Philanthropy Miami, Generosity Strategies, many more that are available to provide guidance, coaching at no cost or low cost. That if nonprofits can do one thing to get out of their own way, it's believing that they actually have a story that's creating impact. So do you actually believe the thing you're selling? And then do you have the capacity? That's when I do raise my hand and I extend my hand out and ask. I need help. This is a resource I need. Guide me. No one's going to give you a handout. And then when donors see that you have that stability, that you've created that, like you're actually about it, that's when they invest in you. And so you don't have to have a suit on. You don't have to have super professional graphics and things like that. But you do have to show up authentically and ask for the thing that you need.
So Ruth just said something. Everything she said was so important. Everything. It's kind of the great thing about a podcast is you get to run it back as many times as you need to. But she said something that really stuck with me. Do you believe what you are selling? Do you believe in your organization? Because if you don't believe in it, nobody else will.
And it's going to show.
It will show. It will definitely come out. I have no problem when I go into a bank president's office and talking authentically about the needs of the community and what the organizations are doing and how the community is being served and how I need them to give more. One thing every bank president says to me, Cornell, when is it enough? And you know what I always say? It's never enough. Never. It's never going to be. I'm going to keep asking. I'm going to keep asking because the organizations who are serving the community need to keep going, and the community keeps having that need. So until we eradicate all the things from poverty to homelessness, until we eradicate all those things and all those things are out of our lexicon, out of the American lexicon, then I'll stop asking. But up until then, not gonna happen.
No, and you touched on it. You said, funding is being cut, budgets are being cut, and the other thing when this kind of movement happens in the system is donors also take a step back. They kind of hold their cards closer to their chest. And what happens there is it's an opportunity for them to just double down in the nonprofit that they already know. And so if you have a champion, if you have a donor who has been supporting you for several years, maybe this is the opportunity for you to ask them, just like we did in COVID. Hey, you gave us $20,000 for pencils, but COVID's happening. Can we use $20,000 instead for,
Sure.
And so it's talking about the story and the impact and not making it seem like everything is good and we don't need your help. Instead of saying, hey, funding structures are going down that we normally depend on. Can we count on you this year or for 2 years? And create a conversation where they're partnering with you and no longer just somebody who's giving you a handout.
And I love what you said. Partnering with us, not just writing a check and forgetting about it. But we want them to volunteer. We want them to be a part of it. We want them to serve on the board. We want them to do those different things in order to help. So the partnering is definitely key.
I can understand, Cornell, why some founders and nonprofit leaders will be hesitant to do that. And I'll just kind of name it because I'm no longer working for any nonprofit. Is we're afraid of bringing them into the kitchen. We're afraid of telling the donor, hey, we feel transactional. Oh gosh, they gave me $50,000 and now I owe them this. Or a donor will say, and I've had to actually say no to money, or I've had to give back money. We think because they gave us a big check, now we have to do what they tell us to do. And so that's kind of where you have to put your big boy pants on and
have
say,
that conversation.
This is our mission and this is, what we're going to be aligning with. And if it scales and it makes sense, then sure. But I would really encourage leaders to take a stand about their mission and not allow donors to sway that. Instead, finding your tribe. And it's okay. And it might feel a little bit weird and you might have like the thirst for the funding. And I understand that, but it's
the
really
most important thing is the mission itself and the people who are served.
Yeah.
For me, that's the most important thing. So I have one final question. And this question is, and I ask all my guests the same question. So if I gave you all the money or all the power in the world, what would you do with it? It could be personal or professional.
Okay, but can I fly with this power?
Oh, sure. You can do anything you want. I just said you can do whatever you want to do.
I think for me, I personally have a thing, for children who are struggling and suffering and neglected. And so I think all the power, I would use it to make sure no child ever suffers again, whether it's within their own home, by creating preventative programs for families to be able to receive the support and care that they need during transition time, or by creating as much funding structures as possible for children to have safety and development and the resources and the emotional support that they need growing up. Yeah, just giving kids the childhoods that they deserve.
Great answer. Great answer. So our guest today on the Just Economy podcast has been Ruth Rios. And before we go, Ruth, please give us your contact information.
Yeah, so my email is ruth@generositystrategies.com, and my phone number is 305-987-7986. You're welcome to text me, call me if you have any questions. You'll reach me directly.
Well, you better take advantage of Ruth, because sooner or later, probably sooner rather than later, she's going to blow up, and we're going to be wishing we had reached out earlier.
We're going national.
See, there you go. There you go.
I love Give Miami-Dade, but we will be expanding to other giving days in the country.
There you go. There you go. And I think especially the smaller CBOs, don't be afraid to step into that fundraising arena. Mm-hmm. It's something that we have to do. It's a need. I need you to be in the community and understand all the things that need to be done in the community. So it is imperative that we get the community who we want to serve and the community who we're not serving involved in helping the community thrive. One of my favorite things is that this, as a community and social construct, it is a team game. For me, team means I can't do it without you, and you can't do it without me. So we got to be part of the team if we want to change the social construct of which we live. Again, thank you, Ruth Rios, Generosity Strategies. We greatly appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us. This has been the Just Economy podcast, sponsored by the Community Reinvestment Alliance of Florida. I am your host, Cornell Cruz Jr., Executive Director, and we look forward to seeing you next time.